Okay, today we are going to discuss the structure of the heart. Okay. Okay, so in this illustration, I have shown you the posterior. This is the posterior, and this is the anterior. Meaning, this is the front, and this is the back of the heart. This is very important for us to know because uh, in order for us to know properly the structure, especially this structure here. So let's go first to the blood vessels. Okay, the blood vessels. So this one is the superior vena cava. Okay, this one superior vena cava, and this is the superior vena cava here. Okay, and this one is the inferior vena cava, and this one is the inferior vena cava. Okay, so this one is the aorta. Okay, this one is the aorta, and this one is the aorta. Now, this is the pulmonary artery. Here you cannot see the pulmonary artery, but you can see the trunk. So we have here, okay, going to the left side of the lung, okay, is the left pulmonary artery. And this is the, okay, this is connected here. This is the right pulmonary artery. And here, if we are going to look at here, since this is posterior view or the back view, it is now on the other way around. If this is the left, this is now the right pulmonary artery. And this is the left pulmonary artery. Okay? So, that's the difference if you put your heart on the opposite side. Okay? Here, we have the pulmonary vein. Okay? This is the pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein that is connected to your lungs. Okay, so this one is connected to your lungs also, and this one is connected to your lungs. So pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood coming from the lungs that has been oxygenated. So this is now the left pulmonary vein. Okay, and this one is connected to your. This is the right. Sorry. This is the right pulmonary vein, and this is the left pulmonary vein. Okay, so this is the left pulmonary vein going to your lungs. Okay, now this is somewhat confusing. Now, so this is the right pulmonary vein. This vein is connected at the back of your atrium. Okay, these veins are connected here at the back. If you take a look at this one, this is your left atrium. This one is connected to your left atrium. Okay, so the right pulmonary vein is connected there. So if you go other way around, since this is now the right, so this one is coming from here. Okay, so this is now the right pulmonary vein, and this is the left pulmonary vein. So these are the left pulmonary vein. Okay, so those are the blood vessels here. Another blood vessels are the smaller ones, the coronary artery. So this is coronary artery. Okay, the coronary artery originates from the base of the aorta. So if you look at the coronary artery, it came from here, from the base of the aorta. What is the importance of the coronary artery? Okay, coronary artery are the ones supplying blood to the heart. Okay, so we all know that the heart supplies blood to the different parts of the body, but who will supply blood to the heart? Of course, the coronary artery. And this is one of the most important part of the heart that we are going to memorize because there are so many conditions arising from the problem of the coronary artery. If the coronary artery narrowed or hardened, blood supply to the heart will be decreased or impede or block. Okay, so if there is a blockage of blood supply in the muscle of the heart, okay, MI or myocardial infarction will develop. This is what we call cardiac arrest. There is infarct, okay, meaning there is death of myocardium or muscle of the heart. Usually the damage is on the left side, left ventricle. Okay, so we have circumflex coronary artery and then the right coronary artery. Of course, the right is supplying the right side of the heart, and this one is supplying the left coronary artery, is supplying the left ventricle, and circumflex artery is supplying portion of the left and also portion of the right here, okay, to the back and the right, no? So that is the most important structure of blood vessel also in the heart. Another one is we have structure here, this one. Okay, so since there are blood supplying to the heart, there are also supply to the heart. There are also blood vessels that will drain the unoxygenated blood to the heart and bring it back to the right atrium. So this is the coronary sinus. Okay, so this is the coronary sinus. He is the one collecting or draining all the unoxygenated blood from the heart, okay, going to the right atrium. Okay, remember the right atrium is receiving unoxygenated blood. Okay, so here, this structure here and this structure here are called your atrium. Okay, they are atrium, the right and the left atrium. And this is now the whole body of the heart. This one is now your ventricle. Okay, so atrium and ventricle. Okay, so this is the posterior structure of the heart. So don't be mistaken. Huh? So this one is your here. This is your left atrium, and this is your right atrium. Okay, here this is your right ventricle, and this is your left ventricle. Okay, so this is the structure on posterior and anterior. And also, since the atrium inside, when you look inside, it's like ear, no? That's why this part of the atrium is called the auricle of the heart, auricle. Okay, now we move on. So this is now the interior part of the heart. Later on, we will discuss one by one. So let's move on. So the cardiovascular system. So if you talk about cardiovascular system, cardio means heart. So the meaning of cardio is heart. And this one are the blood vessels. So when you talk about cardiovascular system, we talk about heart and the blood vessels. Okay? So this is a closed system of the heart and the blood vessel. So if you look at here, this is the cardiovascular system. So these are the heart and these are the blood vessels. They are closed because there's no opening in between this one. No? Okay? So blood flows from the heart and out of the heart go to the lungs to be oxygenated and go to the heart again to be pumped, okay, and then go to the systemic circulation and go back again to the heart. So heart pumps the blood, so the heart is the one that pumps, and the blood vessel allow the blood to circulate to all parts of the body. Okay, if you look at here, there are actually two pumping systems, the right and the left. Okay, the function of the cardiovascular system is to deliver oxygen and nutrients to cells and tissue. So Here, if you look at the right side of the heart, the illustration is color blue because they are unoxygenated. The main purpose of the right side of the heart is to push the blood to the lungs because the lungs is the organ for oxygenation. And after the blood is oxygenated, it goes back to the heart to deliver it to the different parts of the body. Okay? Another one is to remove carbon dioxide and other waste products from cells and tissue. Since in these capillary beds, no, there is a exchange of material here from the waste products and also the carbon dioxide are brought to the right side of the heart and brought to the lungs to be excreted. So the main purpose of this one is to deliver oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. So if we look at the location of the heart, actually the heart is located at the center of the chest. We look at this one. So this is the center of your chest. So this is the sternum with external border. No? Okay. So it is located at the thorax between the lungs in the inferior mediastinum. So in nursing, that what is very important here, if they ask you where is the location of the heart in the chest, the main answer is this one, because this one is what they call mediastinum, the center of the chest, wherein the heart is located. Okay, so in the board exam, maybe one of the choices is this one. We have also superior because the superior is here. The superior mediastinum is what it contains are the great blood vessel, the aorta and the pulmonary artery. So it is in the inferior mediastinum. So let's proceed now to the orientation. So if you look at the heart, the apex says here the apex. So the apex is here. Apex means the pointed part of the heart. So the pointed apex is directed towards the hip. So the direction is at the left hip, no? So here. And the base points towards the right shoulder. So this is the base. Okay, towards the right shoulder beneath the second rib. Okay, so this is about the size of your fist. Okay, so try to close your hand. Okay, the size of your fist is the size of your heart. So if you have large fist, you have large heart also. Okay, so if you look at this orientation, you can see here, no? So this is the mid-sternal line. This is the second rib. This is the diaphragm. Okay, so this is the heart. This is where the point of maximal intensity. Okay, in male, it's very easy to determine where is the point of maximal intensity wherein you are going to place your stethoscope and count the number of heartbeat. So this is where you are going to place your stethoscope, usually at the fifth intercostal space, no? So this is located here. In male, it is located at the nipple line. So it's very easy to locate. But in female, we doesn't use the nipple line because some female has very low nipple line. That's the problem. Or very high nipple line. Okay, so the nipple line is only appropriate for male. So look at here, the mediastinum. Okay, this is the mediastinum. So the heart is actually located at the center. Okay, is slightly left because the apex of the heart is pointed at the left side, pointing to the left hip. Okay, that's why it is pushing the left lung, no, laterally. That's why the width of the left lung is smaller. So if you look at here, no, so at the heart, which is located the inferior mediastinum, the apex is slightly towards at the left. So if you measure this one and you measure the lungs also, the right lung is wider, the left lung is narrower in this measurement, no, in the width. Okay, and you can see that why is it two lobes, because also the apex of the heart is located at the left lung. Okay, so let's go now to the coverings of the heart. Coverings, of course, like the lungs, it has also cover. So the coverings are called serosa. Okay, they are serosa. Serosal membrane. No? Serosal membrane. Remember that one, serosal membrane. Even the lungs, it is called serosal membrane. So if this is your heart, there is a covering. Okay, it is a double wall. This is the first wall. Okay, and if you look at this one, this is continuous. Okay, this is continuous. This is continuous. So this is the okay. So either which, no, this is the first wall or the outer wall. No, the outer wall is now called the okay parietal pericardium. Okay, parietal pericardium, and in the inner wall it is called visceral pericardium, and they have cavity in between, which is called pericardial cavity. Okay, so pericardium, memorize this one because this is very important. There are also called pericarditis. If this one have infection, it's called pericarditis, and there will be a chest pain that you feel if the pericardium is being infected. So it says here double walled sac. Okay, so pericardial sac is also the name, pericardial sac. Okay, fibrous pericardium is loose and superficial. Okay, serous membrane is deep to the fibrous pericardium and composed of two layers. Okay, so what are the two layers? Visceral pericardium. The visceral pericardium is the one that lines, okay, the heart. Okay, and actually it is the first, okay, first part or first wall of the heart. That's why it has two names, no? Visceral pericardium or epicardium. Okay, remember that one. This one also is the first wall of the heart, no? The first wall of the heart, which is called epicardium, the most outer wall of the heart. And the parietal pericardium is the one, no? The outside layer that lines in the inner surface of the fibrous pericardium. Okay? So pericardium is considered a serous membrane. So it has serous fluid that fills the space between the layers of pericardium. Uh, Sometimes there's no fluid inside. Okay? This one causes friction rub, wherein if the heart beats, you feel chest pain. Okay? So let's go now to heart wall. It's very easy to memorize. There are only three, no? Three heart walls. So the first one is the epicardium. If you say epi a while ago, this is the visceral pericardium. Now then another name is epicardium, which is the outer layer. So this one, okay, the outer layer, the yellow one. So that is the epicardium. This layer is the visceral pericardium. This is made up of connective tissue. Okay, this is made up of connective tissue. Epicardium. Next is the myocardium. In the walls of the heart, this is the most talked about in nursing. Myocardium is also called the muscle of the heart. So it is also called the muscle of the heart. Myocardium. Myo means muscle, no? Cardium means heart. Okay, so muscle of the heart, myocardium. And it is the middle layer. That is why if they ask you, what is the muscle of the heart? It's the myocardium. Okay, always remember that the muscle of the heart is myocardium. Myo means muscle and cardium means heart. That's very easy, no? Mostly cardiac muscle, no? So if you look at the myocardium, it is the thickest wall of the heart and it is the one that actually contracts. If you look at the wall of the muscle of the heart, if you look at the myocardium, you can see twisted or rolled ring-like arrangement like this. You can see this one. So this one is twisted, okay, and rolled into ring-like arrangement. It is the layer that actually contracts. So this one is the one that actually contracts. Okay, each cell exhibit both. It has desmosome. This is one structure that is very important in the myocardium, the desmosomes. Okay, this one is to help to bind mobile cardiac cell together, and they have this one, the gap junction for communication. No? So we have two important structure, no? Desmosomes, so that these cardiac cells are bind together, and they have gap junction which allow ions to flow from cell to cell carrying a wave of excitement across the heart. So they are able to transmit impulses because of this gap junction from cell to cell. Okay, so that is one of the most important characteristic of this muscle inside. Okay, the myocardium is reinforced internally by a dense fibrous connective tissue network called the skeleton of the muscle of the heart, the skeleton of the heart. So if you look at the heart during our experiment, when you hold the heart, it has a shape, and it has a structure that made it the shape of the heart, because we have this fibrous connective tissue in their myocardium. So the innermost layer, we say endo, inner, no, innermost layer, endocardium, innermost layer of the heart. If you look at the innermost layer of the heart, actually they are smooth. If you hold them, they are smooth in order to have a good flow of the blood. Okay, and it is made up of endothelium. Okay, let's go now to the heart chamber. Now, the heart chamber has four. Memorize that one. Heart chamber 4. Heart chamber 4. This is very easy to memorize. Okay. So the heart chamber, we have four chambers. We have the atria. Okay. We have the right and left side act as separator, no, of the pumps. We have the four chambers. If you say chambers, rooms, no, rooms for blood. Chambers, rooms for blood. In the upper part, we have the atria, which is receiving the blood, no? The right atrium and the left atrium. So these are the atrium. So this is the upper. These are the upper chamber, no? So they are called atrium. We have the right and we have the left, and they are the one receiving the blood. Okay, so let us see. Okay, so the right side of the heart, the main purpose of this right side of the heart is to pump the blood going to the lungs. Okay, because they are the one bringing the unoxygenated blood to the lungs to be oxygenated. That's why the color of this one is blue, no? Because the right atrium is receiving blood from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So this one has hole here and this one has hole here. So they are the one receiving, okay, the blood coming from the upper extremities. These are connected to your head, neck, shoulder, and arms. Okay, so all the blood that are unoxygenated will go to the heart via superior vena cava, and this one from your lower extremities. So unoxygenated blood coming from the lower extremities will enter your inferior vena cava, and they will go to the right atrium. Okay. At the same time, okay, at the same time, no, at the same time, simultaneously, okay, this atrium is also receiving blood coming from the lungs. So we have the right lung, which has 3 lobes, and we have the left lung, which has 2 lobes. So this one now, okay, this one now, the left atrium will now receive blood, oxygenated blood, coming from the lungs via the pulmonary vein. Okay, so they will go here and enter the left atrium. That's why the left side of the heart contains oxygenated blood and the right side of the heart contains unoxygenated blood. So remember that these two are receiving blood at the same time. Okay? So this one is coming from the lung. So here, let's continue. No? This is the pulmonary vein. Okay? It is receiving blood from the left lung and move here. Move here. This one, move here. Okay? So that's the atria, no? Receiving chambers. Okay, so we have the right atrium, left atrium, right unoxygenated or deoxygenated, left atrium oxygenated, okay, receiving blood coming from the lungs. This one is receiving blood coming from the upper and lower extremities on the superior and inferior vena cava. So always take note that they are receiving blood at the same time. At the same time. In other terms, they use simultaneously. They are receiving blood simultaneously. Alright, let's proceed now to the ventricles. No? Ventricles. So here, the bigger chambers, no, we have the ventricles. So this one and this one. Okay, we have the right and the left. Okay, right ventricle and the left ventricle. Okay, so we have the right and the left ventricle. So the ventricles are now the discharging chambers. Okay, so once the blood coming from the atrium goes down, okay, remember it is always at the same time, simultaneously. When the blood goes down, okay, this ventricle will be filled of blood, okay, and the atria, since the atria is still with blood, what will the atria do is to contract, to push the remaining blood to the ventricle. Okay, the atria will push the remaining blood to the ventricle, and then the ventricle will contract. Okay, so this one, the right ventricle, the main purpose of this one is to push the blood, pump the blood going to the lungs. So that is his purpose, no? Because it contains unoxygenated blood. Okay, always remember that the right side contains unoxygenated blood. That is why the right side will push the blood to the lungs to be oxygenated. And here, okay, the left ventricle, because it receives blood, oxygenated blood coming from the left atrium, okay, it will now push the blood to the systemic circulation. Look at this. This is the opening. No? It will now go to the systemic circulation, supply blood to the head, to the neck, to the arm, and supply blood to the thoracic area until it goes to the lower extremities. Okay, so those are the 4 chambers. Always remember we have four atrium, 2 ventricle, 2. We have the right and the left. Okay, the right is blue. Okay, pump the blood to the lungs. Okay, this one is the left is red. Okay, receives blood coming from the lungs and pump the blood to the systemic circulation. Okay, that's the purpose of these 4 chambers. Okay, let us examine this figure. A while ago, I forgot to discuss the difference between the right and the left ventricle. No? So if you look at the left ventricle, it is full of muscle. It's thicker. No? It's thicker. It's thicker than the than the right ventricle. If you look at the walls, if you look at the myocardium of the right ventricle and the left ventricle, this one is thicker and this one is thinner. Why? Okay, this is the reason why, no? Because, okay, the right ventricle is working less than the left ventricle. Why? Remember, the function of the right ventricle is to push the blood to the lungs, no? So, it is very adjacent. Okay, if this is the heart, it will only push the blood to the lungs, wherein it is not very far. Okay, so it doesn't need a lot of work to push the blood to the lungs. Another one is because of the process of respiration. Okay, this respiration aids also in the uh, return of the blood to the heart. Okay, return the blood to the heart and to the lungs. So it helps in the venous return, meaning there is an aid for the right ventricle to push the blood to the lungs. And also when you are inhaling, uh, pulmonary, intrapulmonary pressure decreases, okay, wherein the pressure inside decreases, so the blood can go faster to the lungs. Okay, so there's less work for the right to push the blood to the lungs. While on the left, this one needs a lot of muscle, no? So it needs a lot of muscle. Why? Because its function is to distribute the blood to the systemic circulation. Imagine he is the one pushing the blood from the aorta to the different parts of the body to until the most distal part of your fingers. He is pushing the blood. That's why it needs a lot of work. And another one, the characteristic of aorta, where the blood pass through, this one is resistant. It resists when the heart pumps the blood. It resists. So this one is elastic, so much elastic than the pulmonary artery. That's why this left ventricle needs a lot of work in order to push the blood out of the aorta and go to the systemic circulation. Okay? So, if you also look at the structure of the left ventricle, and if you look at the apex is totally made up of the left ventricle. Okay? If you look at the structure of the right ventricle, it's very high. Okay? This is very important to know because in your board exam, this question is also being asked. Okay, which is the thicker in wall? Is it the right or the left? And what is the reason why? So it's very important to understand. Okay, next is the septa. What is the purpose of the septa? The septa is to divide the heart into right and left. Okay, so they are the one dividing the heart into right and the left. So we have the first one, intraventricular septum. This one, this one, which divides the heart, the ventricle into right and left ventricle. And the intraatrial septum, it's difficult to see, no? It's in between here, no? Here, on the top, behind this pulmonary artery. So still we have this one behind the pulmonary artery and it's called interatrial septum. Okay, this structure is also very important to know because there are congenital anomalies that could happen during the fetal development. No, actually there is in the fetus there is a hole here which is normal. Okay, there's a hole here which is called the foramen ovale. Okay, foramen, foramen ovale. So this is called foramen ovale, wherein because the supply of blood in the fetal circulation is coming from the mother, in which it is already oxygenated. Instead of oxygenated blood going here and here or here, going here, it is oxygenated blood. So it doesn't need to go to the ventricle, but some of the blood goes to the ventricle, but mostly passes here. And the one that goes here, passes here and goes to the left ventricle and push the blood to the systemic circulation. So this one is not receiving blood anymore coming from the lungs, because the lungs are not working. Okay, so the blood that goes here also goes to the pulmonary artery, because this one is pumping. There is a ligament here, or there is patent ductus arteriosus. There is an artery connected here during the fetal circulation that makes the blood flow here and go to the systemic circulation. So this one is also very important to know. Okay, so 24 hours after birth, this foramen ovale should close. Okay, forming now your intraventricular septum. That is why the heart sound in fetal heart sound, it's different from the adult. It's very difficult to count because it is very fast and they have S3. Okay, so kadug 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 kadug. That's the sound. So it's very difficult to count, and it is very fast, 120 to 160. Okay, so we have also here the intraventricular septum. Okay, next, the heart valves. Valves again are four. Okay, always remember that one. The chambers are four, the valves are four. Okay, in the valves, what are important? This one, you have to know that there are four valves. Okay, and they are categorized into two. The first one is atrioventricular valve. Okay, this is called atrioventricular valve because they are located between the atrium and the ventricle. Okay, that's why it's called atrioventricular valves. Okay, atria and ventricle. Okay, so where are they? So we have this one, okay, and this one. Okay, so these are the two ventricular valve. Okay, just like the lungs, no. So remember, we have five lobes of the lungs. No? To remember the name of this one, okay, bicuspid and tricuspid. Okay, so bicuspid because it has two cusps. That is why the name is cusp. Bicuspid. Okay, this one is bicuspid. Tricuspid. It has three cusps or three flaps. Okay, that is why the name is tricuspid. Okay, so in order to remember this one, just like the lungs, it says three at the right, two at the left. Okay, so tricuspid, bicuspid, so that you will remember where is the location of the tricuspid, where is the location of bicuspid. Okay, so bicuspid is at the left, tricuspid is at the right. So that is very important, no? Always know that one. 3, 2, tricuspid, bicuspid. Okay, so that is very important. And another one, usually they don't use bicuspid, they use the mitral valve. Use the name mitral. Okay, that is very important. They use the name mitral. Okay, so tricuspid, bicuspid, or mitral valve. Later on, you will hear mitral valve stenosis. Or what valve is being affected? Stenosis means hardening of the valve. So you know now that it is the mitral valve. Okay, mitral valve is usually damaged among the valve because this mitral valve, okay, usually have infection coming from respiratory infection. Remember, okay, remember the oxygenated blood go directly to the right atrium. It came from the lungs. So if there is an infection in the lungs, it goes directly to the right atrium and passes through the mitral valve or bicuspid valve and goes to the systemic circulation. So here, it has a direct contact with the microorganism already and bacteria. That is why this one is the most talked about among the valves because this one takes more damage than the other valve. Okay, so that is the reason. No? Why is it this one? Because okay, the oxygenated blood coming from the respiratory system or coming from the lungs, okay, is adjacent to the uh, left atrium, and the left atrium and the left ventricle contains the bicuspid valve or mitral valve. Okay, so now we know the two valves, which is termed as atrioventricular valve between atria and ventricle. Okay, so we have tricuspid, bicuspid. Try before you buy. Okay, next is the semilunar valves. So we also have two semilunar valves, no? We have the pulmonary and the aortic semilunar valve. So this is the pulmonary. Okay, and this is the aortic. Okay, this is the pulmonary. This is, sorry. Ah, so this is the pulmonary, and this is the aortic. Okay, this one. Okay, these two valves, okay, the pulmonary and aortic valve has three cusps. Okay, they have three cusps or flaps. Okay, these are the cups or flaps. Okay, okay, so another structure here that is very important are this one. Okay, these heartstrings. Okay, these are heartstrings. Okay, so the valves are anchored in place by the cordia tendineae, open during heart relaxation and closed during ventricular uh, contraction. Okay, so hmm, so the semilunar valve has three flaps, as I said, no? Closed during heart relaxation but open during ventricular contraction. So let us go back to the the valves, no. So the AV valve, we talk first about the AV valve, no. So these are the AV valves, tricuspid and bicuspid valve, or the mitral valve, no. So this valve, when the ventricle is relaxed, when these ventricles are relaxed, this AV valve open. Take note, when the ventricle is relaxed, the AV valve open. The blood coming from the atrium, from the right and the left, goes down to the ventricle simultaneously, meaning at the same time. Simultaneously, the meaning is at the same time. So, both of them are going down to the ventricle. So, ventricle relaxed, AV valve open. Okay? So, once this is filled up of blood, okay, before it will contract, the atria will contract also. Both of them will contract also, pushing, okay, some amount of blood going inside the ventricle so that the ventricle could stretch more or expand more. Okay, so the more the ventricle expanded or uh, expanded more, the more it will contract. Or if the ventricle is more stretched, the more it will contract. Okay, this is the Starling's law of the heart. Okay, So once the ventricle is full of blood and it will now contract, this is automatically closed. Okay, so the atria contract, push the blood here, okay, and the ventricle will contract. This will close in order to prevent the blood to go back to the atrium. Okay, remember the purpose of the valve is to have a one-way direction of the flow of the blood and prevent backflow. That is the main purpose of the valve. Okay, to prevent backflow and to create one direction flow of the blood. Okay, so I repeat, when the ventricle contract, the AV valve will close. So when the ventricle will relax, the AV valve will open. Remember that one. So if you remember the heart sound, okay, we have the heart sound. The first sound is S1. It's called S1. Okay, we have the lub dub. The lub sound is created by the closure of this valve, the AV valve. So they created the S1, lub. Okay, they are the one creating the lub. Okay, if they ask you a question, who closes first? Is it the tricuspid or bicuspid? The answer is they close at the same time or simultaneous. That's why they create the S1. Only one sound, lub. Okay? They closes when the ventricle contract. So when the ventricle contract, lub, a sound is created. Okay, so that is the first sound of the heart, lub, created by the closure of the AV valve. Now we know that the heart sound is created by the closure of the valves. So lub is the first sound created by the closure of the AV valve when the ventricle contract. Okay? On the other hand, no, when the ventricle contract, the AV valve is closed, the blood is now being pushed away from the heart because this is now contracting. Okay, the right side, remember the right side will supply the blood or push the blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Now it will move the blood to the pulmonary artery. Remember, this is unoxygenated blood. That is why the pulmonary artery is the only artery that carries unoxygenated blood. Okay? So, here, and goes to the right and left lung. Okay? Did we get it? Okay, so when the ventricle contracts, the AV valve close. Okay? The semilunar valve open. Okay? Open. The semilunar valves open. So this one now will open, this valve. This is now the pulmonary semilunar valve. This will now open. Okay? On the other side, simultaneously at the same time, no? When the left ventricle contract, okay, the bicuspid or the mitral valve will close, okay, not allowing the blood to go back to the atrium. Now, the blood will now go to the systemic circulation, passing now this aortic semilunar valve. Let's repeat, no? So, these two are contracting at the same time simultaneously. Okay? So, when they contract at the same time, these two, the AV valves, are closing simultaneously. Okay? So, they create the sound lub, or what we call S1. Okay? Now, these two valves, the semilunar valve, when the ventricles are contracting, they will open. Okay? So, this one will be pushed to the lungs. This one will be pushed to the systemic circulation. Now, once the blood is pumped out from the ventricle now will relax. So, when the ventricle relax, what will happen to the pressure inside the ventricle will decrease. And the pressure inside the pulmonary artery and aorta increase, wherein the blood will go back. Okay? And the blood here will go back. And remember, what is the purpose of the blood? Is to prevent backflow of the blood and create one direction. So, once the blood goes in, it cannot go back here. Since there is a bulb here, once this one increases in pressure, these two bulbs will close at the same time. Okay? So, when the ventricle relax, okay, this AV valve will open, okay, so that the blood will go down from the atrium, okay, and the semilunar valve will close, okay, at the same time, causing now the S2 dub, okay, lub, dub, lub, dub. Now we know that the sound lub dub is created by the closing of the bulbs. The first sound is S1, created by the closing of the AV valve, and S2, which is dub, created by the uh, closure of the semilunar valve. The tricky question here is, okay, when the ventricle relax, which will open, which will close. Remember, the ventricle relax, which will open, which will close. So, if the ventricle will relax, the AV valve will open in order to receive blood from the atrium. And the semilunar valve will close. Okay? Once the ventricle will contract, okay, the AV valve will close, okay, and the semilunar valve will open. Okay, just remember those flow of the blood, and that is very important. Okay? So notice these bulbs operate opposite of one another to force one-way path of the blood through the heart. Okay, so that is the main purpose of the bulb, to create one-way flow, and there's no backflow. Okay, so this structure is very important, the cordia tendineae, or the heartstring, which is connected to papillary muscle. If you look at this one, the structure here in the heart, they are called papillary muscle. Okay, they are papillary muscle, which is connected to the heartstring. Okay, let's now move on the homeostatic imbalance in our heart. No? So, an incompetent valve. So, if your valve is not, meaning incompetent valve, your valve is not closing properly. Okay, forces the heart to pump and repump the same blood because the valve does not close properly, and there are backflows, and that is dangerous. No. Example here is the valvular stenosis. Stenosis means hardening of the valve. No, the valve flaps becomes stiff, open because of the repeated bacterial infection of the endocardium, which is endocarditis. Okay, usually coming from respiratory infection. That is what I have told you. No. Okay, next is the associated great vessels. So this large vessel. So arteries, aorta, and pulmonary arteries. These are the arteries. No? So we have the pulmonary artery and the aorta. These are two great vessels. We have two great vessels here, and they are called arteries. No? Uh, in your pulmonary artery, the main function of the pulmonary artery is to bring the blood to the lungs. Okay? So this is a large artery that carries unoxygenated blood coming from the left ventricle, right ventricle, going to the lungs. So the purpose is to put the blood to the lungs. Okay? So here we have the aorta. Okay? Remember aorta, the blood leaves the lungs. and goes to the systemic circulation. Okay? Remember that the left side of the heart is carrying oxygenated blood and pump it to the systemic circulation. That is why the color of this one is red. No? Okay, so the aorta leaves the blood leaves from the ventricle and goes to the aorta. Here, the blood leaves from the right ventricle and goes to the pulmonary arteries. And both of them have valves. This one has the pulmonary semilunar valve, and this one is aortic semilunar valve. Okay. So veins, we have superior and inferior vena cava and pulmonary veins. So pulmonary veins have four. Remember this one, four. Okay. Superior vena cava is this one, and the inferior vena cava is this one. The superior vena cava receives blood or drains blood coming from the head, neck, and the shoulder. Okay, going here and also our arms. And here from the inferior vena cava, okay, drains blood coming from the lower extremities and bring it to the right atrium. So they are the one receiving unoxygenated blood. Here, the pulmonary veins, as I've discussed a while ago or before, these four, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, brings blood to the left atrium, which is oxygenated, coming from the right lung into the left lung. Okay, remember the blood coming from the right is already oxygenated. That's why this one is illustrated as red, no? So it goes back to the heart, okay, to the left atrium and to the left ventricle to be pumped to the systemic circulation. Okay? That is why this is the only vein in the body that carries oxygenated blood.